Second item down is the controller. You'll notice that this icon changes when you are not connected. It'll show the little red circle with the white X on there. If you double click on that, if you click ping, that is similar to a command prompt where you're pinging an IP address to see if you're physically connected to that IP address on the network. If you're not seeing the ping, double check that the controller is powered on. Sometimes it's on the back side of the machine and it's hard to see. Check the Ethernet connection. When you first plug it in, you should see the link light turn on. You'll see the yellow LED start flickering, which indicates some traffic. So if you're not able to ping or connect, what I would first do is check your firewall settings. Our company runs Symantec, so I have to come into my taskbar and disable Symantec. And you may need to check with your IT group in terms of your user access control policy. With Windows 10 there's a lot of security, a lot more than there used to be, which is a good thing, but it can block not only connecting but also the ping. So once you're able to temporarily disable that, then you're able to ping and connect. Symantec will actually turn on after about 5 minutes or so, and so if you're having problems, if you do a download, we disconnect after a download and then reconnect. So then if you can't reconnect, and PMM will try to reconnect automatically after doing a download or an upload, and check your firewall if it doesn't reconnect automatically. Thanks. If that's not pinging, try a different Ethernet cable. It will auto detect straight through or crossover, doesn't matter. Now, when you first connect, the default IP address of the controller is 192.168.100.1. So you'll need to change the PC's IP address if you haven't already. Here's a quick link on where to do that on your computer. I'm actually connected to a Gigi USB adapter. You may also have a NIC card on your computer, but if you right click and go to properties and then go to Internet Protocol version 4, then you can set the IP address. So you need to set the IP address to 192.168.100. Something other than 1. 0 is not valid, so pick a number between 2 and 255. The subnet is the same as the default 255, 255, 255, and 0 with no default gateway. After you change the IP address, then you should be able to connect, and you'll notice that the little red circle disappears. So anytime you're connected to a controller and then you see that change on the icon, you want to check your connection on to your controller. If you want to change the IP address, go into the terminal emulator, type the word IP. That'll give you the IP address of the unit. So then you would just type IP and then in quotation marks whatever IP address that you want it to be. And this won't actually take effect until you do a reboot. So you can either cycle power or you can type reboot. When you do this, you will lose the connection because now your PC's IP address doesn't match. So then you would need to come back into your PC network settings, update your computer's IP address settings, and then you should be able to then disconnect and then reconnect. New to Parker Motion Manager 2.2, we have added a scan for IP address button on the connection window. This will go out and scan the network on your IP, on your Ethernet port to see what is connected. You can see I have got 3 different controllers connected to my network, and I can then select any one of those, and then it will, if you press OK, it'll change it here, and then you can try to then ping and connect. Um, Note here, this may not work if you're connected through a switch. Really, you should be connected directly to the 7000. This really should only be used if you've lost the ACR 7000's IP address. Power off the control, connect the Ethernet directly into the computer, not through a switch, and then power on the control, and then hit refresh, and you should see what the IP address is. Our standard is 192.168.100.1 is the default. You can see everything that's on your network. This is all based on my wireless card. So this will at least help you narrow down the search on there. Still suggest a label on the side of the unit. The IPA only uses the software IP address commands if the dial switches are set to 99. On the IPA, you can always set the dial switch to 1 on the top and then 0 on the bottom, and then cycle power, and then I'll reset the IP address to 192.168.100.1. So that's a nice addition to 2.2, which will be released in May or June 2021. Thanks.